I'm Esther. The courtroom was tense, the air thick with anticipation. Judge Thompson sat at the front, his expression solemn as he looked over the papers in front of him. My uncle, Carl, sat across from me, his face red with anger and disbelief. His lawyer, Mr. Reed, was whispering urgently in his ear, but Carl seemed not to hear. It all started when my beloved grandmother, Amelia, passed away. She had been the heart of our family, a kind and wise woman who had always looked out for me. For years ago, when her health began to decline, I moved into her charming cottage on Elmwood Avenue to take care of her. I was a hospice nurse, and I knew how to make people comfortable in their final days. Amelia was 82 when I moved in, and she was 86 when she passed away. Every night I worked late, she would leave the porch light on for me, a small yellow bulb that guided me home. I would text her when I was on my way, and she'd reply with a simple "on." It was her way of letting me know she was thinking of me. The rest of the family, though, was a different story. My uncle Carl, Amelia's son, lived just 30 minutes away, but he rarely visited. He would come by once a year, usually around the holidays, and stay for an hour or two. His wife, Linda, would come with him, but she was more interested in the house than in Amelia. She would run her hand along the banister and ask about the roof, as if she were already planning to sell the place. Their daughter, my cousin Lily, came even less. But she loved to post pictures of Amelia on social media, with captions like "Sundays with Grandma" and "Treasure these moments." The comments were always full of love, but I knew the truth. Lily had never really been there for Amelia. A couple of years before Amelia's death, I remember Carl standing in the living room, measuring the walls with his phone. He caught me watching and grinned. "Just curious," he said, "for when it's mine someday." Amelia was sitting in her chair, just a few feet away. She heard every word, but she didn't say a thing. She just smiled at him, a small, private smile, and went back to her knitting. In her last winter, Amelia became quieter and more deliberate. One afternoon, she took a brass house key on a faded red ribbon off the hook by the door and pressed it into my palm. "This stays with you," she said. I tried to give it back, but she wouldn't take it. "You're not hearing me," she said. "It stays with you." I thought she was confused, but she wasn't. The next week, she went to see a lawyer, Mr. Harris. She didn't tell me what they discussed, but when she came back, she said, "I've made it so no one can take it from you. It's done now." I asked her what she meant, but she just patted my hand and changed the subject. Amelia passed away on a Thursday in early April. I was holding her hand when she took her last breath. It was a peaceful death, but it still hurt. After the funeral, we gathered in the living room to hear the reading of the will. Mr. Harris sat down and put on his glasses. "The bulk of the estate, including the house on Elmwood Avenue, goes to Esther," he said. Carl's face turned red, and he stood up so fast that his chair scraped across the floor. "That's a joke," he said. "She wasn't in her right mind. That girl got to her." He laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. "A piece of paper won't stop me. That house is mine." And with that, he stormed out of the room. He never heard the rest of the will, which included a cash gift of $80,000 for him. That night, Carl and Linda came back to the house. Linda did most of the talking, her voice warm and wounded at the same time. "We don't want to fight, Esther," she said. "We just want what's fair." I stood in the doorway and looked at them. "I took care of her," I said. "That's all." Linda smiled, as if I had proven her point. "You're not even a Thompson," she said. "Blood is blood. You're an Adler." I closed the door and went inside. That night, Lily started a group chat with all our relatives and pinned a message at the top. "For everyone asking what happened to Grandma's house," she wrote. And then the lies started to spread. I muted the chat and tried to ignore it, but it was hard. People I had known for years started to give me cold looks. I felt like an outsider in my own family. One night, I sat at Amelia's kitchen table, holding the brass key in my hand. I almost gave in. I almost signed the house over to Carl just to make it stop. But then I looked out the window at the porch light, still burning bright, and I knew I couldn't. I called Mr. Harris. "They're saying I manipulated her," I said. I don't know what to do. Mr. Harris's voice was calm and reassuring. Come to my office tomorrow, he said. There are some things your grandmother wanted you to know. The next day, I went to Mr. Harris's office. He sat me down and slid a thick folder across the desk. Your grandmother was a very smart woman, he said. She knew that someone might try to contest the will, so she took steps to protect you. He showed me the will, which had been drafted by him and signed in front of 2 independent witnesses. He also showed me a letter from Amelia's doctor, stating that she was of sound mind when she made the will. And there's a no contest clause, he said. If anyone contests the will and loses, they forfeit their share of the estate. I sat there, stunned. I had no idea Amelia had done all this. A few days later, Carl filed a lawsuit to contest the will. His lawyer, Mr. Reed, claimed that I had isolated Amelia and manipulated her into changing her will. It was a ridiculous claim, but Carl was determined to get the house. The lawsuit dragged on for months. Mr. Reed sent demands for medical records, financial statements, anything that might show that I had done something wrong. But there was nothing to find. I had taken care of Amelia out of love, not for any personal gain. Meanwhile, Mr. Harris was building our case. He had the will, the doctor's letter, and my 4 years of nursing records. He also had the text messages between Carl and Amelia, which showed that Carl had rarely visited her in the last few years. As the trial date approached, I started to get nervous. But then I remembered Amelia's words. I've made it so no one can take it from you. I knew she had planned for this. The day of the trial finally arrived. I walked into the courtroom, feeling calm and confident. I didn't need a lawyer of my own. I had the truth on my side. Mr. Reed went first. He stood up and laid out Carl's case, using words like isolated and manipulated over and over again. But there was no evidence to back up his claims. Then it was Mr. Harris's turn. He stood up and presented our case, one piece at a time. He showed the will, the doctor's letter, and the nursing records. He also read the text messages between Carl and Amelia. The courtroom was silent as he spoke. Carl's face turned white, and he started to fidget in his seat. When Mr. Harris finished, Judge Thompson looked at Carl and said, "There is no clear and convincing evidence of undue influence. The will is valid." Carl's lawyer tried to object, but it was too late. Judge Thompson had made his decision. And there is also the no contest clause, Judge Thompson said. Since Mr. Carl Thompson has contested the will without probable cause, he forfeits his share of the estate. Carl's eyes widened in shock. But that's my mother's money, he said. Judge Thompson looked at him sternly. The law is clear, Mr. Thompson. You made your choice, and now you must live with the consequences. Carl sat there, stunned. He had lost everything. The house, the $80,000, and his dignity. I didn't gloat. I just sat there, feeling a sense of relief. Amelia had protected me, just like she said she would. After the trial, I went home to Elmwood Avenue. The porch light was still on, just like Amelia had left it. I sat on the porch, looking at the house, and I thought about all the memories I had shared with her. The estate settled over the next few weeks. I kept the house, and the $80,000 that Carl had forfeited was added to my share of the estate. I didn't celebrate. I just put most of the money away and tried to move on with my life. I cut back on my work, and I started to spend more time with the people I loved. I planted Amelia's favorite flowers in the garden, and I sat on the porch in the evenings, watching the sunset. The family didn't all vanish. A few of the cousins reached out to me, apologizing for believing the lies. I forgave them. I knew they had been caught up in the drama. The house on Elmwood Avenue is mine now, just like Amelia wanted it to be. And I will always keep the porch light on, in memory of her.